Today's reading is Genesis chapter 1, verses 3 to 5. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. In the Tales of Narnia, C.S. Lewis describes the creation of Narnia as coming out of emptiness and darkness. He describes a voice beginning to sing, the most beautiful noise that had ever been heard. Then that voice was joined by other voices, more voices than could possibly be counted. And then the sky was ablaze with light. It is, of course, an imaginary scene, but in some points it reflects what we read in these verses. Paul records in 2 Corinthians chapter 4 that God commanded the light to shine out of darkness. It's a reference to these verses and a glorious picture of the business that God is in, spreading his light throughout his creation. And little wonder, because God is light, and in him is no darkness at all. 1 John chapter 1. He's the Father of lights, with whom is no variableness, neither shadow of turning. James chapter 1. The perfection, constancy, and consistency of his being and attributes are illustrated in this word, light. In these verses we read that God saw the light, that it was good, verse 4. And that was simply because it was a reflection of himself. Perhaps it's worthwhile pointing out that Lewis's idea of a song at creation may well be taken from the words of the Lord himself in Job chapter 38, when referring to the laying of the foundations of the earth, when the morning stars sang together and all the sons of God shouted for joy, although there's no reference to that in these verses. There are ongoing debates about what this light was, seeing we don't read about the creation of the sun until the fourth day in verse 16. I can't settle the question, although it may well have been a light that was lost when the fall occurred in chapter 3, as many things about the creation were lost at that time. However, it established the division between day and night that remains until now, until the present. And that, of course, indicates that from the beginning, the earth was a rotating body. I think that it is noticeable how many things in this creation are divided or separated. This reminds us of the importance that God places on things that differ. Differences are important to God, and we need to be careful that we do not join the world's chorus to blur distinctions, because these teach us lessons about divine order. Whenever we refer to the days of the week, we usually think of them as morning and evening. The day begins at midnight, the morning hours conclude at noon, and PM is divided, in our minds at least, into afternoon and evening. And so the day ends. But I'm sure you have noticed that in the days of creation, the phrase we read at the end of verse 5 is the evening and the morning. How wonderfully it illustrates to us that God's purpose in creation will open out into endless day. Joy cometh in the morning, as Psalm 30 reminds us. Tomorrow we'll look at another little phrase that is repeated throughout the story of creation.